Howdy, Joe Nystrom here, and I just want to introduce myself, let you know about where I'm coming from and how I've been working with Mike, discussing vision and really philosophy and life and things like that, and where we think we're moving in the future, where things are going, not just in society, but also in business and also in schools and in our own personal lives. I think we're in the middle of this time. We might look at it as the Great Awakening, what's happening around the world. It's quite interesting. How did I get into this deal of vision myself? I sit on a school board, and I was noticing that teachers' morale was really low. And I myself, my background is in teaching. Taught for almost 20 years at the high school and the college level. I specialize generally in introduction to statistics, but I do love calculus and all problem solving and puzzles. I'm a puzzle guy. I like puzzles and I like problem solving. But we had some surveys back, and job satisfaction was really low in the district that I'm the school board on. And I wondered to myself, what is going on? Why are schools as a workplace not a great place to work? And I was sitting there in a meeting, and all the principals of the district came in to show us their visions. And after the meeting, I said, well, where do they base their visions on? And the superintendent said, well, they base their vision on our vision statement. So I looked at our vision statement, and I noticed in our vision statement, there was no vocabulary at all about supporting teachers or providing teacher support or our worker support. Everything was student driven. And it would be like a company saying, we're going to have the finest cars, and totally ignoring the people who are going to put those cars together. And I thought to myself, what is there in vision statements that can be inspirational to a worker? So I started looking online, and I researched the top places to work in the United States. And one of those places happened to be Wegmans. Wegmans, a supermarket. Number 5, I think. And I thought to myself, how is a supermarket one of the top 5 places to work in the United States? Certainly not because it's pushing out 6-figure salaries. No way. I know, because I worked at Stop and Shop as an undergrad, Friday night shift, midnight to 8 in the morning. Friends would call up or they'd come in after midnight and spill things. Be like, clean up in aisle 7. And so I looked at their vision statement. And it really stood out to me how worker-centered the vision statement was. I couldn't believe it. And one thing really caught my mind. It said, we empower our people to make decisions to improve their work to benefit our company and our customers. So empowering their people, it's right there. And if you look through their whole vision statement, is a worker-centered vision statement. Everything in it is about the worker. We support our people. We provide them room for growth. And I started thinking, well, what does drive people? Now, me as a teacher in the classroom, I know that I need to make my students believe that they can do it. I need to make them want to do it. And I have to give them a voice. And if you read research on what drives people, one of the big things is autonomy, voice, support, ability to achieve mastery. There's a great book called Drive by Daniel Pink, and the things that he talks about in that book are autonomy is a big one. You need to give people space to grow, right? Mastery. You want people to be able to go after what they want to. They want to be good at their job, right? Nobody goes into work saying, I can't wait to go in today and stink. It's going to be awesome. Everybody wants to be good, even in teaching. The most burnt out teacher wants to do a good job. There was a time when there was a fire behind them. Now, any system that's not correctly established is going to burn people out. And that's what we want to get away from. We want to empower people. Empower our people to make the change. How do we get to a place like that? Think about what pushes people. Purpose. That's a big one. Purpose, the greater good. We care about the greater good. Now, if you think about here what's going on, there's a lot of talk about wealth inequality and where things are going and capitalism versus socialism. And even if you go back to thinking about Adam Smith, the father of capitalism, the invisible hand. The invisible hand wasn't free markets. The invisible hand was that that if you give people autonomy, they're going to search where they can fit into the puzzle best. Given the freedom to be part of the solution or to grow, people will grow. And it's not just it's creating incentive systems for people to be creative and productive, and they will, left to their own, right? If they have a chance to do it, right? It's not just competition brings out the best in everybody, period. That's the end, because we know that also competition can bring out the worst in people. Adam Smith himself was a socialist. Before Wealth of Nations, he wrote a book on moral sentiments, right? He was a moral philosopher. And he talks at length about the well-accepted fact that you don't need any research, that we find joy from other people, seeing other people being joyful and succeed. We also feel each other's pains, right? So really what he wrote Wealth of Nations is he looked at capitalism and freedoms and markets as a great way to provide incentive for people to work to the best of their ability, to fit into a system where we can all use each other's best skills to improve society and end poverty, right? He was a moralist. He wanted to end the world's ills, and he thought capitalism was a great way to do that. And I think it is too. But the problem is unchecked, it ends up like the game of Monopoly, right? The game of Monopoly was designed specifically to warn people about the dangers of monopolies. The game of Monopoly was to warn you about monopolies. But in America, we're all like, I want to win. I want to have all the stuff, right? And we win, and then we're like, all right, I won. And we play with 9 people. 9 people lost. Everything. Now, the problem isn't it. The problem with the game of Monopoly, it should say, all right, once you get everything, once you win, you still have to play for 5 more hours and figure it out. Because that's how life goes. That's what Marx warned about in capitalism, is that what happens, what's the end game? What happens when all of the wealth goes to one person? Because life has to continue beyond the concentration of wealth and beyond the concentration of power. And anywhere historically where power has been concentrated in one spot, it ends poorly. People think, oh, fascism can't be born out of capitalism. Are you kidding me? Tyranny can come from anywhere, anytime there's a concentration of power. We have to watch out for tyranny. We have to watch out for imploding, right? Imploding under the weight of our own success. And so when I think about things, it's not like I'm some sort of crazy socialist, but the reason why I like things like universal health care, which is an accepted fact in European countries, is because I want to create a system where everyone can contribute and everyone can be creative. We want all the people who have the ability to create and problem solve and contribute to society to be able to do that. So my problem with wealth inequality is not, in essence, the inequality in itself, but the fact that it's stifling people's ingenuity. And here's what I mean. If we keep going in this direction, we could end up with Amazon everything, right? It could happen if it's left to its own. We'll have Amazon health insurance, Amazon cars, by Amazon everything. Everything will have some, Amazon could pull one. And then there'll be one guy, just like Monopoly, Jeff Bezos, will be the one guy and a couple people in his boardroom and a few people who will have the privilege of being creative. The privilege, you'll have to be in this class, will be the only people who will have enough free time in order to create, right? We need to make sure that people have their basic needs met, right? That's where the pay comes in. Now, I didn't talk about finance before when I was talking about Drive, because Daniel Pink's book, Drive, talks just about autonomy, purpose, ability to achieve mastery. But we know in our society that we put worth, incorrectly, we put that next to how much money you make. We'll say, hey, what's this guy worth? Oh, he's 2.4 mil. That's what we say worth. Well, as a humanist or as a human, someone's worth isn't the amount of wealth they have, but we put those two words together in English in the United States, and we start weighing our own worth by that, right? And that's not good. So there is a part that we need to make sure that people have enough wealth in order to to be able to create. We have people here. The reason why I like universal healthcare is that we have people here. It's squashing people's ingenuity for a number of reasons. One, people are working 2 or 3 jobs just to pay for their health care. It's about $30,000. Or they're stuck in a dead-end job just to keep the health care. And if you're a small business owner, the biggest obstacle of growth is, how am I going to pay for healthcare for all my workers, right? How can I get on? So healthcare is stifling growth in the United States. So that's why I'm pro healthcare. Anyway, so what we really are trying to do here, what we look at is we want to empower people. We want to empower our workers. We want a vision, and we want to think about how to make all stakeholders have to be incentivized being part of the solution, not just sitting back, going into work, coming back, here I am again. But can we create a place where growth is the key? Individual growth. That's what I want to see. Individual growth and participation in the advancement of the company or the idea or the people or society. That's what we want, because people have to be. So we're not just creating a place where people can be creative. We're creating a place where people feel obligated, almost, obligated to be part of the solution. Creating a forum where people can come. It's just in a place you come just bring complaints about what we're doing here. You show up with a complaint. I want 3 ideas to fix it. 3 of your ideas, because good leadership is not about having all the answers. It never has been. Good leadership is about empowering people to bring cool ideas to you, and good leaders can identify the great ideas. Good leaders can identify great problem solving. That's what good leaders do. They open it up so other people can solve the problem for them, right? It's not your job as a leader to have all the answers. It never has been. And once you start thinking that, you're going to fail. That's how you fail. That's how companies fail. That is exactly how nations fail and societies fall apart. Is when we create a think tank of people who think that they're the only thinkers in the whole thing. And that's just wrong, because you'd be surprised where some of the best ideas can come from. And it comes from the places where you least expect it a lot. And that's the door you have to keep open. That's the door we have to keep open, because then we all become part of it. So when we empower people in the classroom, they start using their voice. When they're part of the rulemaking, they start following the rules. When they take ownership and they realize it's going somewhere, they're more likely to do good work. So it's not just monetary compensation that's part of it, but it's being part of a team, right? We got to this point through collectivism. We had to. We evolved. We are a collective species. That's how we work best as a team. So we need to encourage that at all levels, top to bottom, in and out, and around. Okay? It's a circular economy. We're all in this together. There are limits on the outside when it comes to our natural resources and things like that, and there are limits on the inside. We can't put too much strain on our human capital, right? We need to keep a breathing room for everybody, and their mental well-being, their mental health, their physical health, and all of those things are utmost important. So there's a lot to focus on. So that's what I've been thinking about. Mike and I have been talking quite a bit about it. But the old way, strictly profit-driven, is going to collapse. And it's going to collapse only if we let it. So really, what I think of it as is I'm trying to save capitalism from itself, because I don't want to end at the past monopoly. I don't want to get to the point where it's all Amazon. If we can prevent that, right, then the rising tide will lift all boats. Right now, there's just a lot of boats with holes in it. The rising tide only works when all the holes are plugged in the other boats. The problem is we got a lot of boats that are sinking. So that's what we're looking forward to. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think we can do it with enough people and enough creativity. We can figure out how to solve this puzzle. We can have purpose, and we can move forward together. That's how I see it. Thanks for your time. Joe Nystrom. It's been a pleasure talking with you.